Hi and welcome to this video by RUArty Kids. So in this video we're going to look at the process of generating ideas. Now some art students struggle with this. It can be quite a difficult process, and unfortunately you're normally working to quite time scales. So unfortunately waiting like Sir Isaac Newton for an apple to fall on his head, or the chap in the bath having the eureka moment, it might just not happen in the time that you have available. So we need to find a way of forcing that creativity a little bit. So I've got some little tips and techniques that I've picked up along the way that might help you when you're sat there in front of a piece of white paper and someone screaming at you to come up with a number of ideas for your project brief. This will be applicable for art, design and craft, fine arts, GCSE photography, textiles, 3D ceramics, even A-level, or even BTEC or above. Basically, the process is just the same. There isn't one way to do this. Some people find this quite easy. Some people really struggle with it. So I'm just going to share some of my experience with you and hope that helps. So the first thing I wanted to look at specifically in this video, and as I said, it might not be applicable to some people, but is the assessment process. So we're going to look at how applicable ideas is to the generation of ideas and personal responses. So if we look at this, which is the assessment framework from AQA, got 4 assessment areas, and this may be the same for a number of different exam boards. But what you will see is that the word develop ideas in AO1, we've got here, we've got, there we go, let's just get a little pen here. So we've got develop ideas, there we go, we've got exploring ideas and refining, we've got recording ideas in AO3, and then we've got this personal response. Okay, so developing ideas, refining ideas, recording ideas, and presenting a personal and meaningful response. So the word ideas crops up an awful lot, so you can see it's quite an important part of this particular level of study and above. So how do you record ideas? How do you generate ideas? In this video we're not going to look at refining and developing on those ideas, we're just going to concentrate on the generation of ideas. So if you have a topic, for instance, let's say, I don't know, you've been tasked with doing something around food for your GCSE. So I'm just going to flip onto the visualizer, and okay, let's come up with something around food. Now, if we had, I don't know, an idea, and you think, okay, you might have looked at a number of artists in your project so far, so I'm just going to call these 1, 2, 3 and 4. So in your studies, you've maybe been given or led to these artists by your teachers. So you've done your research, you've done your, your little studies, maybe you developed some work from that. So this is helping you really flush out this theme that you've been given at the start of the project. So everything about it, you might have done mood boards and mind maps, investigations. So that's a good grounding for you to maybe generate some ideas. What have the people you've looked at in your project done? How have they done it? What materials have they used? What focus have they had? What influence have they had? Okay, so you've got that as a starting point if you have started off by looking at the work of others. Now, if we look at the process of generating ideas, I like to think of it as a bit of a funnel. And if you think of a designer of anything in real world terms, if you were, I don't know, a designer of PlayStation games, night trainers, whatever it is, yeah, and you'd been tasked by an organisation to come up with a number of different ideas, and perhaps you'd been given a number of weeks to come back with a range of ideas. If you concentrated on one idea, so it's like, right, okay, I'm spending, all my time on that one idea. I go and present that one idea to all the people at that organisation. They don't like that one idea. They say, what else have you got to show us? And you say, well, I've got nothing else. I just concentrated everything on that one idea. Well, you're going to look pretty foolish. So what you will tend to find with a lot of designers is they might have a number of ideas they would present to the customer. Hopefully, in that situation, there'll be something in there that they like, something that you could go away and develop further. So they might say, I like elements of idea number 1. I might like bits of number 3. Go away again, yeah, work on 1 and 3 and come back and present in a few weeks and just refine that idea and develop that idea further. So it's always good to have a number of ideas at the start, because you just might have a gem in there, but you also might have some very weak ideas as well. So I think it's always advisable as a creative student to generate as many ideas as you can at the start. So if we go back to our little analogy here as a funnel, and I'm just going to flip back onto the visualizer to maximize this. So if you were putting all of your ideas in a funnel here, say if we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's try and go for 10 ideas for our project. And say if this project, I don't know, you've been asked to investigate how artists have looked at food over time, over history maybe, or a particular aspect, colour or texture, or the aesthetics or the functionality of it, something like that. So you might, if you'd be lucky, be able to pull on some work or some artists that you've looked at. In addition to that, you've got to generate some of your own ideas, because that AO4 talks about personal response. This is not what your teachers come up with. It's not a copy of what another artist has come up with. This is the you bit. This is the personal response. What can you say? What can you come up with about a particular theme? And if this was a GCSE or an A-level, this could be and would be the same process you would go through for every coursework unit, and probably the same for your exam as well. You would choose your exam question, and when you work this through, just exactly the same. So you're trying to come up with a lot of ideas. In here, hopefully there'll be the nuggets, the real gems, the good stuff, yeah, the ones that you can develop and refine further. And in here, you'll be the ones that aren't very good, yeah, but you want to get them all down on paper. So how do you generate these ideas? Well, you've got to put some stuff in this funnel, haven't you, really? And one of the big things that people always make a mistake about is they get scared to commit to paper. It's this whole white paper, terrifying. I don't write anything down. Absolutely need to get something down on here. So, do you have a place that you find pretty creative? Now, me personally, you know, I think about things when I'm in the shower. Now, it might be for you, it might be dreams. You might stare at the ceiling when you go to bed, and you sat there thinking, and sometimes you daydream, and that's where your ideas might come from. We'll go to bed with a pad and a piece of paper next to you. For me, I think maybe the shower analogy for me is the fact that, you know, you can't take your phone in there, you've got no distractions. Showering is something that's automatic, like putting one foot in front of another. So you don't need to think about it, and it allows your mind to switch into a different place and a different gear. So is there a place that you find quite creative that might help you? Go for a walk, perhaps with a dog or something like that. Okay. Could it be, let's have a look down here, automatic drawing or writing? Now, the surrealists at the start of the 1900s used to use, sort of 1920s, 30s, used to use automatic drawing and automatic writing as a way to generate ideas using their subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind is the element which is unconscious, dreams, the stuff where dreams and nightmares and our belief system sort of sits. So they used to use games such as automatic writing and automatic drawing to try and flush out ideas for their artwork. So you could try little games like that. How about life itself? Now, your life is a great place to start for ideas that hopefully will generate inspiration for you. So think about your family, think about your experiences. All of this stuff will help you to pull on to generate your own ideas. Now, there's one particular thing that I came across, and I can't take credit for this. I saw this on the internet myself, and I really liked it. Is think about this as like a creative bank account. So imagine like a bank vault, yeah, and your creative bank account. Let's put that down here. Creative bank account. So this is a good way to think about it. Okay, if you think about what a bank is, people put money in and people take money out. All right. If you've got nothing in here, nothing in your creative bank account, you've got nothing to take out. All right. So what you need to do is fill that creative bank account, and then when you want to make a withdrawal, you've got stuff to pull on. And what I mean by that is, how do you fill your creative bank account? Well, you do that by putting stuff in it, and this is your life experiences. So this is maybe, if you're going to be a creative, a good excuse to go out and try and have a rich, full life, because all of that memories and experiences you can put in to your creative bank account up here, and then when you want to make a withdrawal and generate an idea for something, you've got lots of life experience to actually pull on. So I think that's a really nice, simple analogy, and that works for me, is you can't make a withdrawal without making a deposit. So the more difficult people find the generation of ideas is maybe because they need to go out and have lots of rich, interesting life experiences. So read the news, you know, look at the TV, get outside, visit places, interact with the world, have an opinion about things, have a voice. All goes in here, which you can then use later on. Okay, so that's one thing about maybe pulling on life experiences. Other things you can use technology. So people think, oh no, it's copying, but you know, artists have pulled on different influences for hundreds of years. So use technology, use social media, use the internet, yeah, use different platforms that might help you. Okay, what else? Well, if it's an idea that you're going to develop and you're going to take somewhere, for me, I would want to choose something that I'm passionate about or that I'm interested in. If it's somebody else's idea that they're going to try and put onto you, it's unlikely that you're going to want to develop it further. So what are you interested in, yeah, in your life? Think about all the different hats that you wear. Brother, sister, auntie, uncle, house captain, football team, go horse riding, like baking, you know, like shopping, all that sort of thing like that. And a big thing for me is get it on paper. Now, while it's in here, it's not doing anything. It's not going to generate you anywhere. There's that big fear about, what if it's not a good idea? What if I don't know what to do with it? Get it on paper, and then you've committed to it. Okay? So, the best ideas are usually not the obvious ones, but start with the obvious ones. List the obvious, yeah? You know, if it's a topic and you think, oh, you know, somebody else has come up with that one, the cliches, as I call them, yeah? Get the cliches out of the way, but get it on paper. Use that. Because what if we just go back to our funnel, by pulling on all of that, pulling on the internet, pulling on social media, pulling on life experiences, things you're interested in, that hopefully will generate you enough ideas. Because what you were trying to do is you're trying to put them through this funnel, so maybe one, maybe two, you know, 2 or 3 ideas drop through this funnel that have potential to be refined, and refinement means improving and looking at all the different options. So it might be refining and developing through looking at different materials that could be used, different compositions and viewpoints, exploring the formal elements, really lifting the lid like a mechanic does with the hood of a car, having a look under it and all the different ways that you could do it. And doing this process of development and refinement means that hopefully when you've done that, all of the questions are being answered so that you are led to a successful final piece, which is personal. Yeah, this is then a personal response. In this process, you will probably come across and find new artists in addition to maybe ones that you've been directed to, because through your personal investigations you will find people who've done similar things, or you'll find images that lead you somewhere. You will find that your idea is taking influence from someone. That could be style, it could be colours, materials, subject matter, and that is all coming through the development process. So when you get here and you do your final textiles piece, painting on a canvas, series of photographs, sculpture, drawing, print, whatever it is, when you get there, it's going to be personal because you're going to have shown a journey through this process here. It will have been influenced by somebody that can be clearly seen in your creative journey, and it will have been well thought out because all of the unknowns, like how big will it be, what materials will work best, how can I present it, will have been done through this process of sifting many ideas through to maybe one strong one or several elements of strong ones, through to you producing a final piece. Okay, so that's the process, but how do you do that? How do you work an idea? So let's go, and we talked about food. Okay, so what we'll do is we're just going to work an idea. So if I just pick a word, I don't know, let's pick eggs. Eggs. Okay. So, a student might say to you, I've no ideas, or you might think, I've got no ideas at all. My teacher, my instructor, my lecturer has given me this topic on here. We've looked at some artists during the course of it. I'm now trying to generate my own ideas. I'm really struggling with it. You maybe have a conversation with somebody, you know, what are you into? What do you like? I don't know. And this word pops out here, eggs. Okay. Well, you think, what are eggs? Right. So, eggs are quite an interesting one, maybe. You might start off by just really mind mapping this. And remember, this is a form of recording observation. It's a form of drawing, really, the diagrammatic element of pulling out. It's a form of annotation. So eggs, so this is sort of, so they are, let's start off, they are fragile, okay, but yet they have a hard shell. They come in lots of different formats, so they're very versatile. Okay, we've got this evolution element towards an egg, which is quite interesting, yeah. If we look at this though, and if I was to present this and say, well, I am trying to generate, you know, 6, 10 ideas, and this was, say, idea number 1, this isn't enough to be an idea. This is not an idea still at this point here, because the word egg, hard shell, format, versatile, fragile, is still nothing creative. I can't do anything with that. I couldn't say, right, I'm showing here that I was thinking about doing a painting or an investigation around X, Y, Z or anything. These are still just words, linked words, but I'm starting to investigate those linked words. So what else could I do to turn this into an idea that might go somewhere creatively? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip my screen, and you know, if you've come across no artists so far, you haven't seen any images, I find, being a visual learner, that looking at images sometimes gives you an idea that you can do something with. Okay, so let's have a look on the internet. Okay, so what you could do is you could start in Google. And the internet is a powerful tool, however, it doesn't know you and it doesn't know your project. So it needs to be led, okay, like a driverless car. It doesn't know where you want to go. All right. So a skill in itself is how to use a search engine such as Google. So what to put in, how to phrase it, putting it in lots of different ways. So if you just put eggs, yeah, oh, you know, I'm doing an art-based project, I'm going to put egg, I'm going to stick Google images in like this, and it's going to bring me back loads of ideas. Oh no, it's not. It's going to give me like pictures of eggs because the internet doesn't know that I'm doing an art project. So what could I do? Okay, let's type in maybe the word art, or you could type in sculpture or photography or something like that. Egg art. Okay, what have we got? Okay, we've got people who have painted on the egg, or painted on eggs. Right, that's given me a direction straight away. I can see somebody's done some pop art, Roy Lichtenstein on eggs. So I'm going to make a note on that. I'm going to write painting on eggs. That could give me an idea, absolutely. What else have we got here? So this could be based on artists. I've got somebody here who has done something with facial expressions. Yeah, I'm just making a note of everything I see, just in case. What have we got? So we've got Oh, these are quite interesting. Decorated. So I'm going to write the word decoration down on here. And all we are doing is we're working one individual idea at the moment. Okay, so yeah, I've had a look at that. I'm going to type in artists as well, egg artists. Let's have a look. Now, using the internet and an image search function like a Google Images can be great, but it will bring back an awful lot of irrelevant things as well. So I noticed these things here that just popped into my vision. These look like the sort of really jewellery Fabergé type eggs. So I'm going to write that down. Fabergé, jewellery. Okay, let's write that down. See if there's anything art-based maybe. That might just catch my attention. Let's have a look at this. This looks a bit like... Okay, so I'm going to write down children's books. And then I'm going to write down Easter. Okay, right, so I've had a quick look on that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up Pinterest as well, which is a really good way of getting visual stimulus, a little bit more focused. So let's type egg art in this one and see if that takes us anywhere. Okay, so we've got carving, so you could take it in a sculptural. Have a look. Now you could take it in a conceptual way, or you could maybe find somebody that maybe has done something just in a sort of more recording way, more fine art. So this is quite nice. Problem with Pinterest you will find is that you and I could create a Pinterest account, so you will have a range of images from a range of people. If you're looking for artist references, it might lead you down dead ends. So take it with a pinch of salt. You won't always find like the big artist names on here. You might find some links. Let's type in artists again on here. Okay, we found this particular image here, which I do know is a very photoreal image. So I'm going to write photorealism. And this is, I think it's a Danish painter. I can never remember his name. Hyperreal. Let's see if we can find a link that takes us somewhere to find the artist's name. And you might think, okay, there's an idea around purely just observational, recording of eggs in different materials, really. And I could develop that, trying it in oil paint or acrylic. Oh, here we go. His name there. So if you didn't know that name, you think, oh, look, I found an artist. So I'm going to write his name. Not going to attempt to pronounce that one. So you could think, oh, well, I'll take this idea purely down a recording. So I could paint fried eggs and boiled eggs and scrambled eggs and different things like that. I could maybe take it into still life. So like some of the Dutch masters, or maybe like people like Cézanne, but replace some of those objects with egg-based. This is quite nice, this. What's this one? Odillion Red on. So it looks almost like book illustration. This is quite nice if you're into maybe, you think about what you like doing as well. This is very black and white. And so very mono. And it has a little feel of sort of Alice in Wonderland. So I'm going to put Alice to look into that. And these look like some illustrations. And then I've got somebody's name there. Odillion Redden. So I'm going to type that name in and think, right, okay, is that an artist to look at? And you just find the odd little image that floats your boat, and then you sort of think, okay. So obviously he is a painter, not one that I'm familiar with. I'm just going to add the word egg and just see if they did a range of images around the egg, or was it just that one-off? Seems to be just that one particular image. So 1885. but I quite like the comedy of it. It's a little bit surreal, so you could maybe write his name down, Dillian Redden, and then surrealism maybe, and that could lead you to investigate that area. So I'm going to type in maybe, let's have a look, artists and eggs. Just rephrase it maybe, might give you a different hit. So we've got The Fried Breakfast, Bacon and Egg by Christine Kaner. So it could be linked to maybe recording photographs maybe of how people present eggs. Maybe the Sunday breakfast, the fried breakfast maybe. Take a series of photographs around your family, or cafes and restaurants. You've got a really nice watercolour there. So you've got some more still lives. Let's type in, maybe let's add something else to it. Maybe then, what did we talk about? Eggs. At the very start, we talked about eggs and evolution, maybe, and see what that brings us back. Okay, and you might not find anything art-based here, but you might just find an image that sort of, you know, sparks something off for you. I'm going to write the word dinosaur, because we always think of like dinosaurs and eggs, don't we? Dinosaur, and I'm going to write fossil, because that's maybe think of fossils. The chicken, and there's that joke, isn't the chicken and the egg, which came first? Chicken and egg. So if you wanted a sort of humorous approach, you got something very stylized here, very fashiony. Okay, let's have a look. It's quite interesting. Okay, go back up. Let's have a look at what else could we write in? So I'm going to write so like eggs, and I could write in eggs and photography maybe. Let's type in photographer maybe. Oh no, it's taking Easter egg photography there. Let's take that one out. There we go. And you might find a really nice photograph that just sort of makes you develop an idea if you wanted to take it down a photographic route. So there's Edward Weston. So Weston, I know, very famous photographer. Could be that you did something based on shadows that X cast, maybe. Really nice shadows that they would cast if you set them up, keeping it nice and black and white. Or something very fashion-based, very high key. Or someone's done something quite surreal here. Quite like that one. What's that one? Yeah, someone's done so you've got this guy, you've got another artist name you could explore. So what we've got so far, I'll just find my visualizer. Here we go. I'm going to pull the visualizer back on. So you can see all of my scribbles so far. And there we go. Let's just get that in focus. Okay. This is just all around this one word of eggs. Now, all this is getting towards is one idea, and I would ask that you would probably try to generate 5, 6, 10 ideas. The more ideas you've got, when you go back to this, if that all to do with eggs represented one area, if you can come up with a lot of detail that represent 10 ideas, when we get down, or you sit down with your lecturer or your tutor or your teacher to discuss all of this stuff, they can help you select, and you can talk about which one you think has got the most interest for you, the most mileage. They might be able to help you with additional artists, suggestions about how to develop that idea. You know, if you started with eggs up here and you went, oh, you know, I've got all this detail here and I've found people who, you know, I like the idea around dinosaurs, and I found this guy who does, you know, surrealism or carving or photography, or I like the idea of evolution, or, you know, the whole comedy of chicken and egg. You put it all into this one idea, and there'll be something that you can take through, end up hopefully with a successful worked through personal response that really fulfills this element, which is about intentions. Yeah, intent. If I could write, what were your intentions up here? Have you fulfilled those intentions? Yeah, did you start off there and you've ended up with a really successful final piece. But you can see how much detail has gone into that, just working through words that might get you an idea, you know, about building your own eggshells out of different materials, cartoons, realism, photography. There's loads of mileage in there, and then you could do that 9 or 10 times just around food-based ideas, and that hopefully will allow you to satisfy the needs of generation of ideas. And then we'll look in the next video on how do we take that series of ideas, develop that one into looking at things like composition, materials, techniques, textures, the formal elements, all the refinement, the different formats that an idea could take, that will allow you to end up with meeting the sort of personal intentions and the personal response element. So I hope that found that useful, and I'll catch up with you soon. Take care.